Yes. Go have your magic moment. This is the biggest thing in your career. Go do it. Go get it. Go get it.
A few weeks ago at the Netflix is a Joke Festival, Tony kinda lost his cool during a small roast battle, and things got a little awkward. For context, Adam Ray brought out Jeremiah Watkins, who was playing a character as an AI version of Mark Norman. He was up there for about 5 minutes, putting on a really good impression, roasting Bert Kreischer and Dr. Phil, so Tony was brought out for the purpose of roasting this AI Mark Norman, but it kinda backfired. What's crazy is this was the day after the Tom Brady roast where Hinchcliffe absolutely killed it. So he's probably still riding high of all the praise he got. He mentions he was hungover, so it's fair to say he wasn't his usual self, but Tony looked genuinely bothered by Jeremiah, even though his jokes weren't even that harsh. It's the same kind of jokes he's heard from David Lucas. But Tony saying to Jeremiah, go ahead and get your magic moment, was a low blow. He obviously didn't like that Jeremiah was getting more laughs than him, so this was definitely a big ego moment for Tony. The reaction from the guys on stage says it all. Bert sat there looking pretty uncomfortable. There's definitely been moments in Kill Tony where he seems like he's in a bad mood and would react harshly, so it's not totally rare to see Tony pissed off, but in this instance he should have carried on acting like he didn't care, but making that comment shows that he was having a bit of an insecure moment, which is strange because this is Tony Hinchcliffe, one of the best roasters out there. With all his success at roasting and right after having probably one of the biggest moments of his career, just 24 hours later would have such a weird reaction. Even if his jokes would have fallen flat, he could have just sat there and shrugged it off, but instead he made it personal, which tells me that there's some bad blood between these guys, which Bert even hints at with this comment. Those of you who might not know Jeremiah Watkins, he's a comedian who used to be one of the band members of Kill Tony back when it was filmed at the Comedy Store in LA. The band members were all comedians as well, so when Tony moved to Austin, I think they all chose to stay in LA since there was more opportunity there at the time. Some people thought that maybe Tony got rid of them or purposely didn't ask them to join him in Austin. However, it seemed like there were no hard feelings with Jeremiah at least. He was even on as a guest in one of the last episodes in LA to promote his own special, and it looked like they were getting along. But things with the old band were always a bit rocky. If you look at some of the older episodes, it's chaotic in contrast to the current format.
They're very funny. They left quite the legacy of silliness. It was very silly. It was, in fact, in my professional opinion of the show, a little bit too silly. It took away from the opportunity sometimes of the bucket pulls because there was all these distractions, whether they were dentists that episode or wizards. They were always a different character. So it added an element of comedy, but only silliness. And, you know, I always think that the backbone of the show is the bucket pulls, the opportunity, the risk reward of anything can happen. It could be great and it could be the worst thing ever.
Seems like Tony doesn't miss the old days with the band since he likely felt that he didn't have enough control over the show, and especially being the host, I could understand the frustration. Every so often, the band would just take over the show. Sometimes one of them just wouldn't stop playing music or take shots at Tony. The show overall seemed less polished, which some could argue was part of the appeal at the time.
Now, if I remember correctly, your first time on the show was your first... Oh, God. Oh, dear Lord. Your first time on the show was last week, in which we woke you up.
Took a no-wipe sheet. A no-wipe sheet.
Guys, what are we doing here? Everybody, let's get a grip for a second. All right.
We were almost there for a second. If you were listening closely enough, we were about to be the first ever podcast to get canceled. Okay, guys, really, I mean, it's
Can you imagine?
I love how this has become a new running joke. Like, let's upset the host. Only.
I had a filter on my Twitter that I didn't see a lot of the tweets, and then I turned it off, and then like I missed a lot of tweets. So like, reach back out to me. I feel sorry. I've been plugging it for like months, and then like I'm like, why are nobody hitting me up? And I had a weird filter on. So you know, you just reach out at Jeremiah Stand Up on all social media.
Remember before that plug when you used to respect Jeremiah? Everybody.
Don't let us in the store, so it's like, whatever.
Why do you keep on farting in the mic?
It's called queefing.
No, I actually like it because it's.
Is that really what that was?
What are you talking
Was
about?
Was that an actual fart? Did you put the microphone to your butt and release air?
I think it's the fifth one tonight.
Oh, I heard two of them.
Tony obviously felt that they were a little goofy, and looking back, I would agree. If you're playing a character, it really has to be funny, because if it's not, it's just cheesy. Especially when you've gone through the trouble of getting into costume and committing to a character for 1 or 2 hours. So personally, it's not something I miss, but it was nice to see Tony get annoyed with the band when they would just derail the show. Since Tony is usually the one roasting everyone, it's rare for someone to be able to successfully roast him, and since the band members weren't going to beat him at his own game, they would just awkwardly disrupt the show to piss him off. And one of the members who would sometimes take over the show and clash with Tony was Jeremiah.
Okay, it's your show. I'll concede. Back to you, my friend.
talking
Yeah,
in
all right.
policies.
Yeah. Well,
Some
I'll let you host
pent-up-
your show. All right, go back to her, calling her
you,
small
Jeremiah.
tits and stuff. Let's have a good time.
Thank you, buddy. Really
All
good.
right, no, I love you so much. Congratulations on your great show.
Thank you. No, indeed, it is.
Oh, no. I can't wait. 5-year anniversary
So
next
weird.
month.
Wow,
God,
look,
sold
only
out. Joe Rogan, Don
only
Merritt.
3 weeks as band leader. He's already got a case of the Patty Reagans. I'm there taking pictures with people over there, signing posters, right? This is your story. And then you, Jeremiah, relax for a second. I'm already trying to yell across the goddamn room to the guy. And your story.
My
your
peanut butter chocolate cake with Kool-Aid.
Present.
Gotta be honest, it's hard to tell when you want us to play and not to play on this show.
It's very, very
It's
easy.
been the same ever
It's
since.
when the comedians come up and when they go down. Other than the two regular.
Unless Tony's already talking to somebody, like when William was over and he was in mid-conversation, then of course you wouldn't
Now,
want to...
during the interview part, there wouldn't be songs.
It's kind of bold of Jeremiah to constantly challenge Tony on his own show. Maybe he did it as a way to lighten the mood when things were a little tense, or as a way to bring Tony down a notch when he felt like he was on a power trip. Like I said, he can't go head to head with roasting Tony, so the most effective way to annoy him or to check his ego would be to disrupt the show. And there's definitely been moments recently when it would have been nice for someone to challenge Tony when he's in one of his moods. There's no way Tony would let this kind of thing fly with the current band, so who knows if these guys get along, but it certainly feels like there's some tension there. They were supposedly good friends before, but as the show got bigger, Tony obviously had a specific direction for the show, and I'm sure all these awkward interactions likely put a strain on the working relationship. But as the much bigger comic, to try and put down Jeremiah is a bad look for Tony. He's actually been up to a lot since leaving the show. He now partners a lot with Adam Ray, which I think is a much better fit for him. He also has a channel called Stand Up on the Spot, so the guy is doing some pretty cool stuff, but he doesn't have the biggest live podcast in the world, so I guess it seems like Tony still looks down on him. Well guys, if you enjoyed this, hit the like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.